See, Mr. Hanks, this is an absolute honor. When I was a kid, I collected movie tickets growing up, so I actually have most of the tickets of all the movies I saw of yours as a
Oh
kid,
man, look
in,
at that.
in Apollo 13. I saw
At the
Saving
AMC. Beautiful.
Private Ryan with my
Oh, at the
dad,
Killing Creek 14. That's a good theater.
and then Toy Story with my grandmother when I was a
Only
kid. And
$4. Holy cow, you got in cheap.
one of the things I want to get into you with Finch, what I found interesting is this idea of trust, this theme of trust. As
Hmm.
Tom Hanks, outside of the world of the movie, you have to build a bond and have a trust with that dog that you're working with. And I was actually interested in knowing after production ends, how do you detach emotionally from that bond? Because you don't get to take the dog home. And I would imagine like Turner and Hooch is probably the same way. Is that a weird thing to deal with?
Well, when you're acting the nuts and bolts of making a movie, the handlers, Mark and Ray, they are really keyed in with that dog, and dog goes back and forth between us. And I knew that was going to be the case. There are moments in the movie that literally are behaviors that the dog has learned. But as time goes by, with every time I just said, "Hey, can I can I throw the tennis ball with Seamus for a while?" and they let me, something happens to that where that dog starts looking at me as something other than this benign, cipher that he has to deal with it, but as opposed to not a bad guy. When we spent a lot, we were in that RV for hours and hours and hours, and if I fell asleep, he could fall asleep, and if his snout was on my leg in the back, laying in the back, that was golden time. There was moments with Seamus in which scratching his belly and grabbing his snout and rubbing his ears and scratching right behind his tail, where even he says, "Oh yeah, keep that up. Hey, you're all right. I like it." That was person. And you're right though. When the movie's gone, he's off back to living with Mark. And if he came in today, he'd probably give me a decent smell and then be on his way. I miss him.
That that's I wondered how that worked. My wife and I have seen you on stage twice over the years. I saw you in Lucky Guy in New York, and I saw you in LA in Henry IV.
Oh,
And one of the
well,
things I find
oh,
interesting about that aspect is when I watched you on stage, I'm editing. I'm looking where I want to look. I'm watching your performance. But in a movie, where it's edited for us, it's told what we're going to see. As an
mhm.
actor, how does that affect your performance in terms of like performing for a crowd versus performing for a movie and knowing how we're going to experience it?
The biggest difference on stage is that every night you start at the beginning, and the story is told in a slightly different way than it's ever been done before, and it is captured in amber. It will never be seen again just like that. And tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon, the audience will be seeing a slightly different, brand new, original incarnation of what you just did. A lot of times you can say about the theater, theater is like a movie without close-ups, just one big master shot. True. But you get out, and as soon as you start talking and a vibration comes to you about the energy of the rest of the cast, where the text is going to be taking you, and also what the audience may need or how far ahead of you they already are, it ends up being just it's a different kind of joy than it is from making movies, which is a long ongoing compilation of
Yeah.
individual moments that a million people have to work towards it. When you're out there singing that song that is a Broadway play or Shakespeare, when you get to start and meet out the intensity of every beat in the story from the first line to the last line, that's the difference. That's the difference between flying a plane and swimming in the sea. They're totally different experiences, and they're both glorious.
One of the things I love is there's like little details about your character that I just latched onto. I love that he still clocks himself in. I love that he puts the badge on. I love that he uses a map. I love that he puts the cassette tape in the player. To me, this technology interesting thing to me is like going back to these older forms of technology that still work because they're practical. And I know you love typewriters. And I was wondering, are there other older pieces of technology? I know I see them all behind you that you still use, even though there are easier things that have been made with technology? What are some other
I
older
Yeah, I have a couple of old rotary dial telephones that they just have a different fidelity. I don't know
Yeah.
if you could hear it even right now. You have a different sort of sense of talk back that comes through your ear where you hear yourself, and the nature of the crispness of your voice versus somebody else. There's these small, little, tiny, tangible things that do make a tactile difference to life. At my desk, I have a huge basket of pencils that need sharpening, right next to a constantly dwindling basket of pencils that are sharp and ready to use. And going, I use it just enough, and then I put it away. And then about once every 3 weeks, I go and sharpen 500 pencils and put them in the back in order to give again. Because there is an aspect of a by hand quality that I don't get from sending a text or leaving a note on my phone to myself. I like to see it in a more concrete world.
Couldn't agree with you more. They're wrapping me up. As you can tell, I have 1,600 movies behind me. I'm a physical media person. My wife and I listen to records every single night. I am all
LPs
with you.
on vinyl,
Oh,
beautiful. See, yeah.
oh, listen to the White Album the other night. One of the greatest sounds ever when you put that on. Blackbird sounds so good on vinyl. Yeah. Well, nice to meet you, Mr. Hanks. This has
Glad
been
to
a
see you.
pleasure, and hope you have a wonderful day and stay safe, sir.
Thanks, Kevin. Great talking to you.